What's up, guys? Mickle here, and the SEC is starting to come under some immense pressure to hand over the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails. Now, this is a subject the XRP community has been talking about for a while now, but what we are starting to see is that legal minds outside the XRP community are really starting to pay attention to how unconstitutional the SEC's behavior has been. I want to show you a very interesting discussion between some very smart lawyers talking about this exact thing, and you guys are going to realize how much trouble the SEC is really in here. I also want to talk about something very interesting towards the end of the video. Why is the price of XRP and the rest of the crypto market refusing to go anywhere right now? Why are we just trading sideways with no upward momentum? I want to show you a very interesting chart that's controlling all the major markets right now, and this is something you are definitely going to want to stick around for. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below and turn on bell notifications. These three simple things are going to go such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange, Uphold, down in the description of this video. Guys, Uphold really blows it out of the water with their products, and I highly suggest you make an account there if you haven't already. Make sure to use the link in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start out this video and go over a very interesting discussion that was just brought to my attention, because for the longest time, it seemed like only the XRP community was paying attention to this Ripple SEC case. But what this video is going to show you is that this case is going to have drastic implications for the entire crypto industry and is going to have a far-reaching impact on the entire United States government. What these people are talking about right here is fascinating, and it's going to show you that the smartest legal minds in the world are paying attention to what's happening right now with Bill Hinman. This is absolutely fascinating. Listen up to this, and then we'll break it down.
And an easy the Hinman speech, right? Yeah.
They want to forget.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ripple's not going to let him forget that.
Exactly.
It also takes me to the legal opinion from the judge in the Ripple case, because the discovery disputes usually not interesting. In Ripple, super interesting. And one of the topics that came up, and us nerdy lawyers here are all like, this is super interesting. You guys probably think it's like super nerdy and not interesting. But so Ripple had asked in discovery, not just for, Hinman's papers related to the Hinman speech, but also, all of the related correspondence within the SEC on that speech. And the SEC said, first they went and they said, not relevant, because the Hinman speech was not official SEC policy. It was given in his personal capacity, and anybody that's ever heard a public official talk, they always say, this is not agency policy, I'm here in my personal capacity, which we all know is bogus, because if they were there in their personal capacity, we wouldn't care what they were talking about, right? The only reason that they're there is because of their official position. That's the only reason anybody is interested in what they have to say. But they always give this disclaimer. This is not official agency policy, et cetera, et cetera. So the SEC went to court and said, not relevant, because his speech was not agency policy, and so it's immaterial to what Ripple may have reasonably thought whether their token was a security. And the judge said, wrong. It's material. And so then they went and they said, well, the attorney's correspondence is privileged. And the judge said, not only can it not be privileged, because you've already gone to great pains to tell us that this was not an official speech, and the agency lawyers can't give privileged advice to individuals for doing personal activities. But the judge really raked the SEC over the coals for what he deemed was too aggressive litigation tactics that, to your point, private attorneys would turn on a dime, right? But he said for the SEC, basically, these are my words, it's really unseemly for you to prize victory over legal ethics and taking a consistent position. And so not only is it super interesting that Ripple sort of, I think, is going to change the way that government officials make speeches in the future. And they've sort of put paid to this idea that an official can make a speech in their personal capacity and then not be held accountable for it later. Like, that's amazing. Like, that changes everything in Washington. But the court raked the SEC over the coals for being, I mean, gently in a judicial way, for being, basically unethical and making two contradictory arguments with respect to that evidence. So, normally boring discovery disputes, I think, is going to create, some interesting SEC related changes, but potentially some interesting agency public official speech changes as well. So that's that. Anyway, that was a very long way around to say that's kind of what I was thinking, is that this like win at all costs mentality, which is considered, if not unconstitutional, inappropriate for a government agency.
Wow, there's a lot to break down there, but I think some of the most important things she said is, one, the SEC is acting unconstitutional in their mentality to win at all costs rather than pursuing actual facts. And the second thing that is extremely important is she specifically says that the judges rake the SEC over the coals for their inconsistent position. What this shows is that to legal minds watching this case, the SEC is completely out of line. The SEC is trying to pull stuff that goes against general ethics, and because of that, they were punished for completely inappropriate behavior. What this shows us is that it is not speculation to think that the judges in this case probably hate the SEC. The SEC is not pursuing this case based on facts. They're not pursuing this case based on the law. They're pursuing this case based on a mentality that they will say whatever it takes to win. Now, that's not a position you want to be in with the judge, because now the judge has this issue where she's thinking, how can I trust anything the SEC is telling me? They've already lied multiple times. They have already proven they will say whatever they can to get a ruling in their favor. So are they even arguing this case off proper merits? This makes me more confident than ever that Ripple is going to end up on the right side of this thing. Ripple has stuck to the facts. They have stuck to securities laws. They have stuck to what they're supposed to be arguing, while the SEC is all over the place trying to make stuff up on the spot. I think this is a great sign for us, because at the end of the day, the judges are going to make the final decision in this case, and I think the SEC had the completely wrong mentality to get on the judge's bad side here. What this shows us is that this is not something we're making up. This is not something only the XRP community is noticing. These lawyers outside the XRP community completely agree with what we have been saying this entire time, and that is massive. The other important thing, and I'll say this part quick, that she does go over, is the fact that this whole idea that Bill Hinman could even get up there and say, oh, well, we want the entire industry to know that we don't think Ethereum is a security, but that's not real guidance, but it's sort of guidance because I'm saying it, but it's just my personal opinion. Yeah, that's not going to fly anymore, and that is absolutely awesome, because that should never fly. It doesn't make any sense, and the entire industry listened to what he said, took it as guidance. The SEC tried to backtrack on that once it realized it hurt them. That's not going to be allowed going forward, and that is all because of Ripple. Now, I want to finish this video off and quickly go over the XRP price chart and what is holding XRP in the range it's been in, because I think there's something pretty critical happening right now that not a lot of people are paying attention to. What we can see is, for the about 1 millionth time, XRP got rejected off this top line and is falling back into this range. Now, we have seen XRP being squeezed into this range for a while now. It's almost been 2 years of the price consolidating in this massive symmetrical triangle pattern. And all this is highs getting lower and lows getting higher until ultimately the price squeezes and we get some massive volatility. Now, we have very low volatility right now, but what is happening is essentially the price can't break up above this top resistance, but it's not breaking below this bottom support either. So what we see is, once again, we got rejected off this thing, but we're running out of time here, and I do expect we are going to make a move out of here eventually. Hopefully that's going to be to the upside, but we're not going to get into that right now. What I want to show you is why XRP and the entire crypto market is having so much trouble right now, and it really has to do with the dollar. What we can see right now is the dollar is actually pumping hard. Since the start of 2023, we have actually had the dollar weakening pretty hard, but as of very recently, the dollar has definitely caught a bid and has been on a massive bounce. Now, personally, I don't think this is sustainable because of all the inflation that has come into our economy, because of all the insane things the government has been doing that destroy confidence in the dollar. I personally think this is just a short-term bounce, a rally before we make new lows. But the real reason we have seen so much pressure on the markets is because so much money is flowing back into the dollar. Now, ultimately, I think a lot of the reasons people are so scared and flooding back into the dollar are ultimately going to fade away, and people are going to do what they always do and go back into game-changing assets, game-changing technologies, game-changing companies. But for now, this is really what's been stalling out a lot of the crypto market, and I just don't think enough people pay attention to this. At the end of the day, the dollar is the biggest pool of money in the entire world. If the dollar's going to rally, the money going into the dollar needs to come from somewhere, and it's coming from assets. Until this chills out, I really do think we're going to have a stall in the markets, but ultimately, I do think the direction is down. I think we're going to see a pretty big plummet in the dollar eventually. Right now, we just need this small pump to finish out. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much, and for now, Mickle out.